Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my first spit build video. I am super excited to be doing this today because I have been wanting to do a warehouse conversion for such a long time now, and I always kept putting it off, but the industrial kit just came out and I just thought that it was a perfect time for me to finally get to it. So today we are in Windenburg, and as I said, we are doing a warehouse that was converted into an apartment loft. This lot is actually where the nightclub used to be. If I'm not mistaken, I'm like 99% sure that this is where the nightclub used to be. I bulldozed this lot a very long time ago, and again, because I just been wanting to do this warehouse for such a long time, but I am 99.9% sure that this is where the nightclub used to be. And I just always thought that this lot was so perfect for like a warehouse style build. And in my mind, in my imagination, I just imagined that this warehouse used to be where they would store things that would come through the sea, so like in ships, and they would sort the things here before they would be mailed to the owners in the residential places of Windenburg. So after they sold the warehouse, it was converted into a residential lot, and it was renovated a little bit but not fully. It still had a lot of the elements of the actual warehouse, and now the new owners finally they bought it. Now they remodeled it, they added a fully custom kitchen, and they made it into a home, but they still kept the bones and the structure of the warehouse, and obviously they kept the elements of the brick and the wood and the metal, which is like the iconic aspects of what an industrial build is and what a warehouse has. So there is a lot of exposed brick all throughout the home, a lot of wood elements, a lot of metal elements, and I just think it's still very modern but very warm at the same time. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I am planning on doing spit builds, because so far I've only done stop motion videos for my channel, and the reason is because I am a very slow builder. So doing stop motions allows me to really take my time with the build and then worry about making the video afterwards. But I really do want to start making spit build videos. So the way that I want to do them is I'm not really going to focus a lot on what I'm actually building, because you can see it for yourselves. Unless it's something extremely complicated, then I will sort of explain my thinking or how I did it. But other than that, I want to focus on the residents of the builds, because one of the reasons why I love The Sims so much is the storytelling aspect of it. And I really want to be able to tell you the story of who are the people that, or the Sims, who live in the builds or who own the builds, and where they come from and their backstories, and why they decided to do a specific style rather than something else. So a little bit about who the residents for this build are. So this warehouse slash loft apartment is owned by a couple. Her name is Tess Taylor and his name is Willie Taylor, and they are a very young couple. They're in their mid-20s, but they actually got married when they were very young. Tess was 19 and Willie was 18, just about to turn 19 when they got married, and they met in junior high school. They were really good friends, and then in high school they started dating, and then they got married and went off to college. They actually went to two separate colleges, but they were very close to each other. So they lived apart when they were in college because they both chose to live in the dorms, but it didn't affect their relationship whatsoever. They have been together for such a long time and they are truly soulmates. They are both very artsy people and very creative, and when they were in high school, they were kind of like the weird, like part of like the weird creative kids. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they were bullied, but they were definitely not like the popular kids. And it wasn't until they both got to college where the things that they were made fun of about were now being celebrated. So in college, they both really got to embrace their creative side and like artistic sides, and they just fully were able to become full-on confident adults and like really confident in their like talents and their creativity and all of that good stuff. So Willie is a web developer and Tess is an artist. She paints, she does sculptures, she does a lot of photography. She just has a lot of talents. She also plays a lot of musical instruments, but she doesn't monetize that hobby. She just does it again as, you know, a fun activity to do when she's not actually working. And they both work from home, so when they were looking for a house, they knew that they wanted a really big space because they didn't want to be on top of each other when they were working, especially because Tess, her job is painting and photography, so it requires a lot of space. So they needed a lot of that in order to still be comfortable and still work in the same, like under the same roof, but without being on top of each other. And so a warehouse style home was perfect for them because they really do enjoy the open floor plan. It's a very spacious design for them to live in, and they just overall really like the whole industrial interior design style. So even though they're both very young and very artsy, they didn't want to necessarily live in the city because they do enjoy the quiet life. They both come from a very small hometown, so they still wanted that quiet aspect, but they still wanted to live in a place that had like really nice places to go to and like a nice nightlife, but not necessarily in the city. So they chose Windenburg because they just thought that it was the next best thing next to the city. There's still a lot of things happening all the time in Windenburg, but it's still quiet and family-like, so they just really thought that it was the perfect place for them. And then obviously when they found this warehouse and they saw how much they could do with it after renovations, they just instantly fell in love and they knew that they had found their forever home. So they don't have any kids and they don't want to have any kids. They both say that they're pretty much open to maybe having kids someday, but for now they're just focused on their relationship and their careers and their 2 fur babies. So they have a cat and they have a dog. The cat's name is Bryant and the dog's name is Max. And actually a really cute story of how they both got to have a cat and a dog is that they first decided that they wanted to adopt a cat. So they went to the shelter and they found Bryant and they loved him. He was the cutest thing ever. So they wanted to adopt Bryant, but then Willie decided to take a look at the dog section of the shelter, and that's when he first saw Max, and Willie just fell in love with Max right away. And so he called Tess over, told her to take a look at Max, and she also fell in love with him, so they decided to adopt Max as well. So that day they came home with both Bryant and Max, which ended up being so perfect because Willie is very much a dog person and Tess is very much a cat person. So Max and Bryant just completed their family and they've just been together ever since. Obviously, because they are a cat and a dog, they also needed a lot of space, so that was another reason why Tess and Willie decided to have like this sort of like warehouse lofty apartment, which was going to be perfect for their pets to also run around and have a lot of space to live in without just like really being in a tight setting. Quickly, this shelf that I'm showing in the kitchen is actually a shelf that Willie built himself, he painted the wood gray to match the counters, and then obviously like the mix with the stainless steel of the sides matches also the counters. And the reason why he did this is because it is a warehouse. They didn't want to put overhead counters, so they store a lot of their things on the bottom counters. However, they still wanted some things to be right at hand because those are the things that they use the most when they're cooking. So Billy decided to build that shelf unit in order to display the things that they utilize while cooking all of the time. So just wanted to quickly mention that because I just thought it was a really cute touch of the kitchen. They still kept the exposed brick all throughout the apartment, and they didn't cover it with those overhead counters, but it was still a good way to have their stuff right at hand. And they both love to cook, especially when they are cooking together. It's one of their favorite activities. So they also love to host their friends when their friends come over, and they just wanted to have like this very spacious big kitchen where everyone would just come and hang out and, you know, have space to be in without like being confined to any walls or anything like that. Their house is definitely that house that all of their friends go to all of the time. It's like a very communal house, if that sort of makes sense. So it's like when their friends want to get together, they know that they're going to Willie and Tess's house because it's the house where everyone has a lot of fun. And I don't show it here, but right in front of the column where the stairs are wrapped around, like that column that you see when you first walk into the loft, there's a skeleton called Mr. Bones, and that skeleton used to be Tess's father. So her father is a medical doctor, and he had that skeleton in his home office, obviously because he's a medical doctor, so he would just have it there to study bones and all of that good stuff. But Tess and her siblings used to play with the skeleton all of the time, and they would always get in trouble because it wasn't for playing, and their dad used to always tell them do not play with the skeleton, but they just wouldn't listen and they would still play with it. So Tess definitely has a lot of really fun memories of her and her siblings sneaking into their dad's home office and playing with Mr. Bones. So when Tess was about to move out and go off to college, Tess asked her dad if he could give her Mr. Bones so that she could take with him, because she just has so many great memories attached to that skeleton. So her dad gave the skeleton to her, and the skeleton has been with her all throughout the homes that she has lived in with Willie, and also in her college dorm. And now every time that their friends walk into the house, they see Mr. Bones and they say hi to Mr. Bones. It's like a tradition that they have amongst their friends group, where like if you walk into the house, you have to say hi to Mr. Bones. And I just thought it was such a cute little detail that they decided to put in their home, because it's just a really great reminder of Tess's family. And obviously, like, because Willie and Tess have been together for such a long time, Willie is so close to her family, she is so close to his family, so it's just a really great little reminder of their hometown and their families and where they come from. And of course, a nice reminder of Tess and her siblings and her parents. So I just thought it was a really, really cute thing. And again, he doesn't really show up in the build portion of the video, but he definitely does make a cameo in the tour portion of the video. So definitely keep an eye out for him, because he is definitely very important. And then for the downstairs bathroom, they obviously, because it's a warehouse, they didn't have a lot of closet space, and they didn't want to build a closet space. So they used the downstairs bathroom to store the clothes that are off-season. So basically, when it's winter time, they put their summer clothes down there. Then when it's summertime, they put their winter clothes there as well. So they just have a little bit more room upstairs. And then that bathroom is just a half bathroom, but it also has like a nice space for their laundry, which is very much essential. And it also has space for the cleaning supplies, which Willie, he is a clean freak. Willie is always cleaning something. He does not like any mess at all whatsoever. So Tess is definitely not like that. She's a little bit more disorganized. She's still a clean person, but she's a little bit more of just like putting things like wherever she wants to put them, and then Willie will just go back and like get them and put them in their place. So they both definitely have some aspects of their personalities that are very different, but I think they're both a pretty great match together. They like complement each other very well, which is another reason why I was saying that Willie's personality is more of like a dog person, and then Tess's personality is more of a cat person, but they just complement each other very well. They've been together for such a long time, so they have to complement each other very well. And then the second floor of the loft is like their entire bedroom, and it also has a bathroom. But the first part, like right when you go into the second floor, the first thing you see is a living space that has a TV and a couch and a piano and like a chess table. So when they have friends over and their friends want to go to the balcony, which is right attached to that second floor, they can just go up and also hang out in that little living space area without actually having to be where they actually sleep. And then also the television is there because if one of them is sleeping and the other one wants to watch TV but they don't want to necessarily be downstairs, they can watch TV without any issues because the TV is not directly in front of the TV, so the light is not going to bother them or anything like that. And they do have a lot of friends over. Like I said, their house is like that communal house where everyone just likes to hang out because it's just there's always something going on. They both love to cook together, so they're always just cooking and making things for their friends. They're always painting and just something fun, artsy is always happening. And then this room is right above their bedroom. You get there through the ladder, and this is Tess's studio. So whenever she just wants to create art, she just comes here and paints. Willie knows never to go to Tess's studio because when she's there is when she's fully focused and just making art and just making magic happen. And they also store some other random items that didn't have a place in the actual house, so they also store it there since it's like no one goes upstairs but Tess. And then the outdoor area, obviously because this was a warehouse, it didn't really have like a living space, so they just made like a man-made pool with like some nice lunch chairs and barbecue, and they just hang out with their friends there throughout the summer. But we are coming towards the end of the story. Let me know if you enjoyed this build. Let me know if you enjoyed getting to know Tess and Willie a little bit more. If you like this video, please like it, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed the video tour, which is coming up right now. Bye!
tickle this feeling. I see